everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm Margie Odell, former treasurer of East Rock Creek Village, but still on the board. Welcome, everybody, to our third poetry session. And Robert is going to introduce himself and Amuche, the poet. So I'll give you that in a minute. Anybody new who hasn't been to a poetry thing before? I'll be glad to have it. So we hope you enjoy. The last two have been wonderful. And everybody's really enjoyed it. Thank Robert for lunch. Thank Mark for the donuts. Thank Kathy for arranging the venue again. And it's wonderful. We really appreciate it. So without further ado.
We're super glad to be here. Day 8's really glad to be here and be able to do this. Day 8 is a arts producer and publisher dedicated to the healing of the world through the arts. I brought a bunch of our books that we published. We published mostly poetry, and our annual gala is coming up on December 7th. If anyone's looking for a good party, early bird tickets now available for that. When it's wonderful to be able to bring really excellent poets to be a part of a community poetry gathering, and the structure of these is pretty much the same each time, where the poet usually does 10 to 15 minutes of reading, and y'all are encouraged to ask any questions that you might have. And then there's the portion where you all are encouraged to read your own poetry or any poems by other people that you like. One of the things that's really lovely about poetry, poetry is important. The arts are important. And one of the things that's nice about poetry in this context are the ways that it can be unimportant, the ways that we just allow ourselves to express and appreciate expression. A healthy community is an expressive community, and I think sometimes within American identity, I think particularly for men, but not exclusively, we're discouraged to express any feeling, and we're also it can feel like anything that you say is the entirety of what you said. And I think embracing poetry as part of the practice of being human in the world and responding to yourself and the world at the same time is good. We're all constantly changing. We're all chatting earlier about my 11-year-old, and while somewhere in me there is still the 11-year-old. We all are constantly changing. We're all new people each day. Anyway, it's my pleasure to be here on this day with Amuche Chukwu Unwafor, who is the 2024 winner of the DC Poet Project and the author of Saltwater Roots, a new book published by May that releases on Sunday. If you want to hear more from her and other local poets who are co-hosting her book launch, it is this Sunday at the MLK Library. And I hope that within your presentation that you'll talk a little bit about yourself. And thank you very much for doing this, and to East Rock Creek Village for having us in.
Thank you.
Did you practice saying my name? Because you it's flawless. Thank you. So yes, my name is Amuche Chukwu, Amuche the poet, or just Amuche. And I have my first collection of poetry here. It is called Saltwater Roots. And the title is so important because it's in reference to my family structure, where my mother is from Grenada, so a small island in the Caribbean, and my father's from Nigeria. And then I was born and raised here. But also because I'm a really emotional person. So thank God I have poetry. And so I wanted to, water's, affiliated with emotions and depth. So the title Saltwater Roots really, for me, is a great title to highlight my history, my family history, and also my feelings, which are so strong. So I'm gonna read poems from each of the 3 sections of the book. And you'll find out more about the sections, of course, if you purchase the book today. So, $18. So the first section is the sunlight zone. So the sunlight zone is the first layer of the ocean that wraps around the earth and is where the sunlight can touch the ocean. You can see the sunlight in the ocean. So I'll read two poems from this section. The first poem I'm going to read is called Love Language. So is anyone here familiar with the 5 love languages? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I created my own love language, which is language. So love language. Our words hung low in the air. I was dizzy. Love at first intonation kept my mind burning, stomach churning, passion stirring. I followed your voice and found my body was steering down roads I had never before been. Your words had me twisting and turning, but they never led me to a dead end. We were 2 balls of energy whose minds had been yearning for an intellectual journey. With your words, you kissed me. I allowed your stories to caress me. With your point of view, you slowly undressed me. Entering our own dimension of time, I let your tongue dance up and down my spine and ignored all of the warning signs as we sped through flashing yellow lights. I never thought that I would ever find myself this open, fully clothed, but we were both naked. So that's love language. This next poem is a haiku, and the title of this is Invisible Woman. Grew up in blackness, now invisibility veils my complexion. So that's that haiku. Mm-hmm.
Not many people know it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat what you said, Renee?
No, I was remembering that Richard Wright actually wrote haiku, but it's not well known, but anyway.
This poem is called Both and it's still from the first section of the book. My only inheritance was survival. Tactics jump through my genealogy. Patriarchy keeps me on my toes, but never lessens the blows from the watchful eye and policing of misogyny. A woman is never alone because someone is always judging and critiquing the direction and density of her steps or lack thereof. Generations of hurdles evolve and conform to the times. Equality never meant freedom. Dare I be Black and woman, both and, not or. Dare I be not a monolith and choose to embrace all of my identities and complexities, I am more of a compilation. Dare I be human and multifaceted, a freak and a lady, wounded and a healer, strong and feminine, Black and womanist. Dare I be a Tribe Called Quest, Foxy Brown, and Audre Lorde. Dare I be a chicken head that's come home to roost in need of security, intelligence, and sensitivity. Dare I be a vessel full of love, light, and occasionally liquor, only to be played like a xylophone and looped like an 808. How dare I be zealous while muzzled and stifled. I am tired, yet gracious, both and, not or.
Oh, wow.
I don't get to talk too much about this one, but there's, amongst all the things I could say about it, one thing about this poem is it came from a writing prompt where we had to go through the alphabet and make a poem. So that's why you hear the words like xylophone and zealous, because, yeah, I had to pull those words out, yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. So on to the second section of the book. So this is called The Twilight Zone. And upon doing research for creating this book, the Twilight Zone is after the sunlight zone, there's the Twilight Zone. And it's where there's a little bit of sunlight at the top of that zone of the ocean, but the rest of it is really, really dark. And that's where you find like, other creatures and fishes and things in the Twilight Zone. So this is where we move into like a little deeper in my emotions. Yeah, so the Twilight Zone. This poem is called Igbo. Foreign languages spew from my lips, my father's native tongue a myth. He himself is a legend, only remnants of his tribe still exist. That's Igbo.
Well, according to 23andMe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Mhm.
Thank you.
And I can, we'll be happy to take questions about anything too. So, okay.
Have you ever been to Nigeria?
Mm-mm.
Me neither.
And we will get there. We get there. So this poem, is from the same section, Twilight Zone, is called Ultraviolet. So, my daddy never saw me. It's been over a decade and he still won't look at me. I always looked too much like my mother, talked too much like my mother, wrote too much like my mother, locked swinging too much like my mother. A little girl's first example of how she should expect to be loved by a man will always be her father, and I expect to never be loved. I'm forever stuck in this continuous cycle of vying for men to not even love me, but just like me. Most men can't see me with their high beams. I'm ultraviolet, like UV. You need special lenses just to view me. My daddy, like most men that cycle in and out of my life, have never had the right frames on. The truth has always been blinded and perception is often undiscerning. Every time I looked in the mirror, my dad was always right there. Nigerian men be so strong that they can penetrate your subconscious and manifest themselves into a god. My daddy's word echoed. His Holy Spirit lingered long after his existence. No need for a phone call or a visitation when I can be my worst bully and my own critic. I was always too skinny, not pretty, too witty, too bold, too brave, too free, too loud, too rough, too fast. God spoke to me and told me, Amuche, sit down, be quiet, cut off those dirty locks, stop thinking for yourself, love me more than you love yourself. My daddy, bore a hole in my chest that I fear I will never fill. I could walk the trail from Mount Rainier to Anacostia and still come back missing. They say God allows for suffering, and my father has left me broken, my chest exposed, my heart too open. It's almost a rite of passage for most Black girls to have to fight the world, fight themselves, and then fight their daddies too. I am a veteran of spiritual, physical, and psychological warfare. I am deeply wounded. I am desperately looking for a new religion. Men might not be able to see me, but I'm afraid they feel the hold that God still has over me. Oh. I think this is a little, it's still in the Twilight Zone, but it's a little, a lighter. It's called Missouri. So I lived in Missouri when I first left this area to go away for college. That's the first place I moved to. And it was not for me. So I wrote, yeah, I wrote a haiku about it. So it's, if I can live in misery, I can ascend through purgatory. So there's that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the third section of the book, and it is the shore. Now, of course, that's not the next layer of the ocean. I think after the Twilight Zone is the abyss, but it's important for me to, after feeling everything, like bring myself back to the shore. So the third section is kind of like the release of everything. So the shore. And the first poem I'm going to share from that is, okay, curry. So this poem is about my mom. Let me figure out what page it is on. And it's called Curry Like the Spice. Yes, and it is page 54. Okay. So, my mother was a culinary artist, a local chef to the kids who lived on my street. She decorated our kitchen table with curry goat, curry chicken, rice and peas, split pea soup, stew oxtail, saltfish and provision, smoked herring. My brother and I ate the finest West Indian dishes laced with turmeric, curry, and saffron, sprinkled with habanero and adobo. My mother was a master multitasker. In between curry dashes and salt and pepper shakes, she juggled dreams, a career, and 2 children. My mother never had time to teach me how to make food. She only had time and patience to cook. My West Indian, American fusion dishes are first generation practice runs. I never got the recipe book. Still, I practice my culture daily. I substitute saltfish for canned tuna to make fish cakes. I steep hibiscus flowers to make sorrel. My countertop doubles as a cutting board for ginger root and carrots. I whine around the kitchen on my 2 bare feet while my taste buds sail away to a culture overseas. You can find traces of my practice runs on my curry-stained jeans, curry-stained nails, curry-stained countertops, and my curry-stained refrigerator door. The hue of my soul and culture is too bright to ever reach out. And I will leave you all on this poem. This is the last poem of the book. And it is called Worthy, because I'm worthy, you all are worthy. And I wrote it for a friend of mine. We were going through similar things, and I thought I could write a poem for the both of us. So it's called Worthy. You deserve an easy life, full of passion and poetry. You deserve a life full of books. Oh, I'm so sorry. Been trying to hold it down this whole time. So sorry. Yeah, I cry all the time, so do not be alarmed. I am okay. Thank you. Okay. You deserve an easy life full of passion and poetry. You deserve a life full of books and bookshelves filled to the brim with stanzas and haiku. Thank you. You deserve a room of one's own, full of tranquility, to rest and relish in your womanhood, to be still, to actualize your dreams and designate a space for them all to come true. You deserve an easy life, full of highs that are psychedelic and lows that don't lead to withdrawal. You deserve to laugh at all of the places you cried. You deserve better coping mechanisms than Jack Daniels, the Tito's, the Reposado. You deserve more than zigzags, head highs, anxiety, and nausea. You deserve to take yourself to therapy. You deserve community to break bread with, like communion. You deserve a community that gives grace when you misstep or go left as a result of them already knowing your true character and pure intentions. You deserve more than nickel and diming. You deserve abundance and green acres in all of your creative endeavors, in the spaces you frequent, in the food you consume, in your bank account. You deserve the freedom to grow beyond the confinements of your imagination, from egg to larva to caterpillar to butterfly. You deserve an easy life, full of love, warm hugs, soft kisses, and full autonomy over your own body. You deserve intimacy and sensuality that feels ancestral and gifted to you by God. You deserve to watch the sunrise at dawn without worry about where you will lay your head at dusk. You deserve an easy life. You deserve stability. You deserve peace. You deserve to try for it all. And you deserve to feel like it all already belongs to you. So thank you all so much. So that is the emotional release that I was talking about. So any questions about anything or?
Is poetry your only mode of creative expression?
No. I also enjoy singing. Yeah, I do a lot of karaoke. I'm gonna be in this new like jazz band soon, so yeah. And also I love to dance too for fun. Yeah.
And you like it?
Yeah, I like cooking. Yeah.
You better do that sorrow and stuff. Sweet, I think.
Well, you can make it less sweet if you make it at home and sweeten it yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us a little about your background in the war, where you grew up?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I grew up, I'm from Mount Rainier, Maryland, so right down the street. I was born in New Jersey, but I moved to Mount Rainier when I was 3 with my mom and my brother. My aunt was already living in DC, so we came to join her. And so, yeah, I've grown up here since I was 3. And yeah, both my parents were born, my dad is born in Nigeria, my mom was born in Grenada. I guess more about me. I graduated from Towson University. I don't know. There's any other question?
You spend your day teaching at one of the, like, you're close to here, right?
Yeah, I work at Coolidge, right around the corner there. Yeah, right now I'm a substitute teacher there. I plan to go back to school to get my master's in library science, so I can be a librarian. Yeah. You? Oh, that's awesome, yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it, yeah.
When did you feel poetry coming up out of you?
Thank you, that's a great question. So when I was younger, my mom just always made sure I was reading. She always made sure I had a book. And she taught me and my brother how to read. We were reading and writing, we were both 2, like we were reading and writing. She's very serious about that. So I loved reading as a kid, and I didn't know anything about poetry. I used to write stories in elementary school, 4th, 5th grade. I used to write stories all the time, make my own version of Cinderella and things. And I didn't know, in middle school, there was a creative writing program. And they had choir, they had like band, but then they also had creative writing and theater. So I joined the creative writing program when I was 10 and learned about poetry. And it just seemed like, I just loved it. Like, I just loved it so much. And so that's when I was introduced to poetry. And that's when I felt like it could come out of me. But I really started pursuing poetry and gaining my confidence in my own writing more when I was in college. We had a poetry team on campus. That in college in Missouri, honestly, because I withdrew from the school because I was coming home. I was coming home. And so I had a lot of downtime. And then I just found myself just writing a bunch of poems again in my downtime. And it really kept me sane for the last few weeks I was there before transferring to Towson. And I joined the poetry team and just started performing my poetry once I transferred back here to Towson and everything. And I just, since 2017, I really just been like really pushing myself more with my poetry because it's the only thing that, I don't know, I feel like I'm not that I'm good at, but I feel safe in. Like I feel, because everything comes with challenges, but I feel safe with poetry. It's helped me and it helps my poems help other people, and I can see that. So yeah. Thank you.
I think your last poem is ode to all Black women. Specifically, it's very,
Just a little moving.
it's very moving. I appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, the last poem, thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of the space where I'm definitely in my life as I'm 27, so I'm like moving into a new place, I know. And yeah, so just feeling all the feels of a 27-year-old.
Is your mom around to see what you
She,
is your mom around to see what you're doing?
yes, she is around. I'm moving out of her place. She is around and I'm very nervous about her reading this book because I guess it's just this thing with parents and their kids, like there's always things that you don't talk about. So I told her she can come and get her book signed, but she can't read the book, so we're gonna see how that goes. Yeah.
Appreciate what Renee said, but not clearly that it's confined to Black women. I think most people have a lot of self-doubt. We grow up with self-doubt, or we're schooled in self-doubt, like how you talked about your dad, and not a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Or feel invisible as we get older.
I know that if there aren't any more questions, I know that you all have poems too that you might want to share.
Limited.
Okay.
I have two that I'd like to share, if that's okay. The first is called Short Age. A double. I am short, getting shorter. Meet the incredible shrinking woman. Short is the top two shelves, always bare naked, unused, undusted. Short is plotting my exit from a crowded subway, 2 stops in advance. Short is a deviation from the norm, a statistical anomaly, marginal. Change happens at the margins. Short is cutting 3 to 6 inches from slacks, even petite sizes. Short is the urban version of the hiker, making noise to ward off bear. Drivers, hurriers, scurriers, daydreamers, bikers, scooters. Stop, look, listen. I am here. Don't mow me down. Stop, look, listen. Short touches the earth, grounded, rooted, earthly. Beware of things underfoot. Be aware. Be aware of the unseen, the overlooked. The Trojan horse sat, a harmless gift with an army in its belly. Short has its own kind of power. Napoleon Bonaparte, Robert Reich, Cleopatra, Donna Shalala, Simone Biles, Joan of Arc, Harriet Tubman, Barbara Bukowski, Mother Teresa, Elena Kagan, Dr. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Short is being amused, yet tired of projections. Hey, shorty, cutie, sweetie pie, isn't she adorable? Look at that sweet old lady. Pardon me while I puke. Don't diminish or infantilize me. Do you get more by making others less? More space, more airtime, more power, higher altitude? Your attitude, your aptitude for platitude is simply rude. Who asked you anyway? We all matter, all have pieces to the puzzle, matter to each other, to the whole, each of us with unique gifts, talents, and powers. I am short, safe, non-threatening, welcoming, authentic. I creep up on you, win you over. I matter. I pack a wallop. You pack a wallop. Together, we are dynamite. And then the other one is called putting food by.
They're called what?
Putting food by. Butts bounce in the back of the pickup. We squeal with delight. In the cab, my aunt drives like a woman possessed over rutted, dusty roads. We return from the orchard, truck bed packed with kids and flats of fruit. Then Bee, Faye, and Ida, the kitchen coven, begin their magic. The three sisters, fingers tan and stained, labor, kvetch, and coax skins and stubborn bits from fruit. Sweetness and steam, pardon me, just sweetness and steam cling to my skin, tickle my senses, and etch their place in my memory. We begin the annual ritual, the sacred rite, putting food by, preparing for the long winter. The sisters' faces gleam. Occasionally one brushes a stray wisp of hair from her brow. The fruits, an amazing palette. Glowed golden apricots, skins intact, are ladled into quart jars. Ruby red raspberries, plump, thickened with seed, are pureed into jam. Orange skins coil and glisten, pith contrasting with peel, on their way to becoming marmalade. Apples transform, translucent, into textured sauce. Amethyst plums glisten in sugary syrup. All are placed in the enormous enamel canner, the spa, the hot water bath. High steam produces the perfect vacuum seal. I listen as they pop close. In the larder, the crown jewels glisten in their mason jar settings. Larger jars, sirens, temptresses built with oatmeal, raisin, and peanut butter cookies beckon us to eat them. Twice daily, cows welcome the coarse hands, relieving their bursting udders. Then milk cascades down the separator, cream for cobblers and berries, symbiosis of land, labor, and love.
Reba, did you write those after our July
Yes, I
poetry session? She went home and was inspired.
can only read that long after lunch.
So, thank you. If anyone is interested in purchasing books, have books here, they're only $18. So, don't be shy, and I can sign them, we can take a picture.
Yes, next is day 8.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, yeah, a few poets that I admire are a part of Day 8, and through them, I learned about the DC Poet Project. And it's competition. There's like 4 different rounds and then the culminating round. So I participated in the first round and I won that round. I didn't share the poem that I won that round with today, but it's in here. But I won that round, and then got to get to the final round and then won that round. So that's how I'm here with my book today. It's very exciting. We have the book launch this Sunday.
Where?
MLK Library.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
And that's Sunday, or did you say
The 20th.
the 20th?
Mhm.
I'm gonna stop the recording, but thank you so much for letting us.
Are there other folks that have phones that are theirs or not theirs that they'd like to read? Usually we have, take 10, 15, 20 minutes. to
Yeah, we have
people
time.
Share their own or other phones too.